So we've obviously talked about a few ways that, people have inspired, obviously your journey and the things that have happened, but also like, how do you find inspiration generally? Like say now, what's your source of inspiration these days?
Yeah, so I think, I guess I've talked a lot about myself and the journey I guess I've been on, and then equally talked about tech sector a bit as well. And I think through the lens of the tech sector, there's probably two things. So I will say this. I am never, very, very rarely, probably never the smartest person in the room, but I am usually, or what I try to be, is the most well-prepared person in the room. So if I'm going to go and interview someone, or I'm doing a tech event or whatever it might be, I always think the more I do my homework, the more I'm prepared, the better this will be. Or certainly it'll, the audience will get, what they deserve. So I'm finding inspiration. I read a lot. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I've read stuff on, Anne Handley's Everybody Writes. I read a lot from Guardian writers, for instance. But then in terms of tech sector and building startup communities, a lot of Brad Feld's work from what he's done in Boulder, Colorado. And equally, all of the kind of the stuff that you would see like in the sort of self-help or entrepreneurship or psychology kind of section of like a W.H. Smith's. Like they've all got the same bland white covers, but the chances are, I've Atomic Habits, James Clear, things like this. I've read all of it, Simon Sinek stuff, and it's all great. And I think I've taken learnings from all of it, and I've challenged parts of it as well. And I think it's important that with anything, you look at the historiography and you look at kind of what books are telling you, and rather than just take them take them as gospel, you take them with a pinch of salt. And you pick out the bits that you like and you disregard the bits that you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So there's that. And then equally, I think I had a bit of an epiphany a few years ago where I kind of thought, I need to stop doing this. I need to go back to just reading fiction and reading novels and reading how other people write. Like you've got great writers like Irvin Welsh who write in their own unique ways, right? Yeah. It really pees me off when people say, you must write like this or you mustn't write like this. And so I think I've absolutely been a sponge for all of the kind of the non-fiction teachings and learnings style books. But I think I think I had an over-reliance on it. I think I started, you lose that essence of fun and creativity, and that's the stuff that is the bedrock of innovation, right? Curiosity. And where better to get curiosity from than, go and read Tolkien. Like, if you want to succeed in business, you don't have to read all of those bland white cover books, right? I'm sure there's great learnings in them, and I've seen great learnings in them. But equally, I do take inspiration from fiction and creative writing as well. I think the thing that really helped me personally was two books. So one, Meditations, so ancient Roman book about sort of Stoicism and kind of the controlling what you can control. And, when I was in hospital, I was faced with all this kind of uncertainty and anxiety, and kind of used that book to help me take back control to as best as I could. And then very, very, very randomly, but something which I kind of came to rely on is my wife keeps calling me a boomer because I never use TikTok, but I will watch YouTube shorts. I will fall into a YouTube cavern or a YouTube loophole of just kind of like watching these 30-second random clips, okay? And my algorithm must be filled with sports, travel, entrepreneurship, tech. It's probably the weirdest accumulation that you could possibly find. But there's a guy who has unfortunately passed away now, but big in the sporting world, was Kobe Bryant, who was an elite USA basketballer. And I think on the surface level, he was known for being athletic and
Yeah.
being tough and trash talking and whatnot. But he, unlike a Michael Jordan who had the physique and could wrap his hand around a ball, and he had the body to be the best.
Yeah.
A bit like in football where you've got the people who are the ripped kind of six pack and the muscles, and they have body fat percentages of 2%, and they would never drink a lager in a million years. But then I think the athletes I respect are the ones who maybe don't have the body for it, but they squeeze every last drop out of the body that they have, out of the mind that they have, or the background that they have. And Kobe was someone who he was unrelenting in kind of the little things, the increments, the getting better each day, the dedication, the mindset. And I started being really, really inspired by his videos and his words. And, I'm not a natural basketball fan. I've probably got into basketball on the back of his, I guess, words about life. And it's kind of, there is this, I'm a sucker for like cliched like American movies and the Rocky movies, for instance, stuff like that. Bit daft, but ultimately it kind of gets you pumped up a little bit.
Yeah.
And there's a Kobe video which I watch it, or I listen to it before my first gym session of the week, before my first rehab session, and it's about 10.5 minutes long, and it's kind of, he's just in your ear, sort of saying, you can do this, you can do that, you must believe this, must believe that. And I get it, that stuff can be a little bit maybe toxic or intimidating for some people. And so this is not me sort of cookie cuttering saying this will help everyone.
Yeah.
But it was just something that I stumbled upon on a YouTube short one day where I was really low and needed that hand up, and kind of, I suppose those words and that journey and the respect that I sort of started to have for the guy then kind of lifted me up. And so a very random one there, Peter. But I think to bring this full circle, I think in terms of finding inspiration, it's reading things, accepting you don't know everything. So go and, if knowledge is free, go and get it.
Exactly,
Talking to people, there's a great Anthony Bourdain quote where he talks about, go and have a beer with someone who has different views to what you have. We're all human beings, go and speak to someone, learn from someone. So I think absolutely doing that as well. And I think ultimately you can inspire yourself as well, you know. And this is something that I'm maybe trying to learn right now. Definitely think I'm still recovering and still trying, but I think the more I can kind of talk to other people and connect with other people, hopefully the more that can kind of come back to me and validate me and who I am as well. So, I think there's different ways you can find inspiration.
Exactly. It's like you can sort of take the things that mean the most to you. It might be, it was being inspiration by Kobe Bryant, for example, for yourself, but it could be something completely random for someone else. You might find it on a YouTube short or whatever. You take the things that matter to you. You find that thing that you're looking for that gives you just that extra push, that extra bit of motivation to take that first step or to take that next step and keep going. Because sometimes you do just need something to kind of, you might be feeling a bit low that day, or you just kind of need a bit of motivation and listen to a bit of powerful music, or you listen to something, a podcast that you like or whatever. Just kind of overcomes that little hurdle that you had. And then once you go in, you can keep going to the next step and, hopefully go on from there.
Yeah, for sure.